We are pulling away from the dock on our great voyage all the way from Seward out to Adak. We've been here in Seward for 3 or 4 days, bringing people in from all different parts of the country. Peace. We're sailing today and we're going to be 3 days out to sea before we hit our first stop on Unalaska Island. We'll start our work there doing some sediment coring.
The researchers were investigating ancient storm events that impacted the region hundreds to thousands of years ago. The study of paleotempestology utilizes sediment cores to develop a timeline of past extreme storm events. Layers of sediment can be read like the pages of a history book, revealing detailed information on when and where extreme storms have struck.
What is coring? It's trying to get a tube of mud so that people can do science with it. You're really just taking a tube, stuffing it in the mud, pulling it back out.
A detailed history of extreme storms only goes back a few decades into the Bering Sea, driving the need to core further back in time within the deep coastal fjords of the Aleutian Islands. The most challenging and exciting part of the work is using the various coring devices and ships' capabilities to tap into ancient storm records.
So how do you get more mud, a longer sample, to get further back in history? Well, you use a piston. What we use is a counterweighted trigger arm. Hunk of steel that has a lever, and that is what we attach our giant weight to. And it's attached to our piston. Eliminating that internal friction is creating kind of a suction, and that allows more mud to keep going in the tube.
Each of these different vibrocores can be used. These two small ones will be used off of the pontoon boat.
Yeah. We managed to get the pontoon out for the first time, this last site, which was Sikuliaq Bay on Adak Island. It was only 1.5 meters deep at low tide, so obviously we couldn't get the bigger ship in. The pontoon boat only draws 1.5 feet of water, so it allows us to get into some of these really remote sites. It also provides a really stable platform where we have an opening in the middle of the platform that we can core through. It's got a tripod set up that allows us to deploy and recover heavier coring equipment like our vibrocores. This really big can that shakes, and we attach a tube to the bottom and slowly vibrate it into the mud pretty effectively. And get through these really tough sand layers, volcanic ashes, and layers that other cores sometimes struggle with.
What about
And the larger one, it is much heavier, has to be used off the ship A-frame. You slowly drop it down to just above the surface of the sediment, turn it on so it's vibrating, and then basically that vibration vibrates the tube, which allows the tube to go into the sediment much easier. And then you have your core.
We used our winch system extensively on this trip. To be able to operate, we rely on a bosun out on deck directing everything and a winch operator up in the science control room.
We're just back at Seward after about 24 days at sea. We visited about 14 different sites, collected about 580 meters of sediment core, about 15,000 pounds of sediment sample, which is amazing. Our 3 PhD students have all the samples they need to start on their path towards answering all the science questions we've posed. So it's a huge success. And not only that, but we had a great crew, great science party. All these samples will be archived at a national repository at the Oceanographic Institution that will be accessible to researchers all over the world. The sediment material that we've collected is going to provide a history of storms Our hope is that it'll go back several thousand years. That'll help us explore what the causes of changing storm frequency are.
The researchers have been unraveling the storm histories contained in their cores and have created this graph that shows the coarse sand layers related to ancient storms hitting Unalaska Island. The data from one of these coastal fjords shows that the frequency of extreme storms 500 years ago was much greater than in modern times. The challenge will be understanding why these changes of storminess occurred and what it might tell us about the future.